Hello and welcome to another episode of Tetrad TV. That's right, we're here once again. Unfortunately, it is only three of us tonight of the Tetrad. Raccoon wasn't feeling well and is out tonight, but that's okay. We still have a fantastic show for all of you tonight. Quick change of pace. We had a different show in mind, but we ended up changing it. Our Game's Changing As We Know It is the title of this episode, number 007.
I knew you were going to do finger guns. I knew it. Oh, man.
He's got two thumbs and is awesome. This guy.
How are all of you guys doing tonight? Penn, what have you been up to this week, man?
So a whole lot of surgery recovery. I really missed being with you guys all last week. You guys did a great job. I had a hard time being in chat. Like, I was spamming the shit out of you guys, like trying to contribute. I want to talk. I want to be here so bad. So it feels great to be back. We did pretty much normal rotation. I've kind of taken a step back from Dead by Daylight on my own channel. But we've been jumping into the normal stuff like indie games, space stuff. They call me Space Dad for a reason. Still playing Warframe, still doing Elite Dangerous, getting back into that.
You know,
So
I know how good you are at Dead by Daylight, and once you hit the top, It's like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I achieved that.
I achieved that. Rank 1 killer, yeah, and right now I'm just not feeling playing anymore. Top ranks. You guys survivors, you guys win. I'm done being looped for a while. Enjoy looping the rest of the killers that don't know what they're in for as they take my spot.
Yep. Cool. Grenade, what have you been up to, man? What are you doing this week?
Not gonna lie, I really wanted to do an 80s metal yell when you started talking, man. I really wanted to do it. I was ready with the horns and everything.
Oh, I had you muted until we actually started, so.
Oh, you dickhole. You thinking ahead, weren't you, man? You're thinking ahead. All right, so, I have a kid update. I feel like this is going to be my weekly thing with you guys. My kid update is...
so last week he was the Hulk, right?
Yes, he was a Velociraptor every week. And yeah, he was. He's bursted through his thing now. Yeah, he was the Hulk. This week, right? You know those sweet and sour candy commercials where, it shows like those little candies and they hit the shit out of the kid with
sweet.
A paint gun.
Then they're sour.
And then they're like hugging on him. So I go into his room, right? And I'm going to get him in the morning. I got his breakfast already, all laid out for him on his tray, on his little high chair, thinking it's going to be a nice little morning, ready to change his diaper. So I go to hug him, right? He stands up and he's handing me his blanket. And I put his blanket down. He grabs it and touches it because it's soft. And then he turns around and hands me his diaper. I was like, what the fuck,
he knows how to take off his diaper?
Yeah, he takes it off all the time now, man. Like, he was running around naked. And I was like, dude, put your diaper back on. And he takes his pants off and puts his diaper on now too, right? So I'm laughing at that. And then he hugs me and gives me a kiss. It's like, oh, it's so cute. And I go down and I put him down in his chair and I got his little drink box and his French toast sticks and everything. And all of a sudden he takes the drink box that he has, which you can squeeze because he's really good with that stuff normally, and looks at me and goes, Dad, and squeezes all of his Capri Sun all over me. I was like, you're a little dick, kid.
I mean,
but other than that,
he's definitely your son, right?
Yeah, I didn't sign up for taking care of myself when I was a baby.
That's what you end up doing, though. I mean, they're just
right.
They're just tiny drunk versions of us, man.
Right.
Like,
he is, dude. He so is. But otherwise, he's doing good. He went to the bathroom on the potty. Like, he actually used a potty. I was super geek for him. He did not want his little training toilet. He wanted to do it on the big kid toilet, and he did. We got him some underwear. He's running around in it. It's Spider-Man chonies. But other than that, on my channel, been doing Destiny with the new update that came out for was it not the Season of Heroes? It's the
Arrivals.
Not Arrivals, but it's the summer thing that they do for all to try to get the so I want to say the summer solstice. I don't know why I want to. I think they changed the name. I forgot the name. Anyways, been working on that. Me, Rock, Chone, Fluff, Anna, Brace, Tiggle, Biddies. We all spam through the raids. We got one more to do. It's pretty cool. This week I got lined up with my buddy, my best friend, like in real life, IRL. He's actually streaming and on a PC now. Clink's been there helping out, getting him all set up.
Yeah.
Indeed,
welcome to the party.
Yep, and the best part about that, it was Clink actually helped him walk through everything when he was piss-faced drunk. That was the funniest part about it.
That was a feat.
That sounds like a crazy week there, Grenade.
All right. And then we're going to be streaming on Wednesday we're going to be streaming Don't Starve together. So that's what I got coming up. Last week's Destiny, though. And then on Sunday, I'm going to start in the morning doing my own solo run streaming of Last of Us 2. By the way, I understand why people are getting threats.
Oh, really?
Was it right? Was it right for him to do that? No, but I understand why.
Just some interesting game
That's the
developer
nugget of
choices
conversation
there, huh?
for later.
That storyline development just blew my mind.
All right.
How about you, Clink? What have you been doing? Tell me about your stream.
I have had a very chill week. I found this new game. It's been out for a while, and I'm going to talk about it here in a little bit as well. But RimWorld is probably my favorite game now of all time.
Wow, of all time?
I
Ooh.
like there are endless possibilities in that game.
I just want to frame this. I want to frame this real quick. So is this like, are you this guy that like sees a hot chick and immediately falls in love, or do you need that connection first? So
both.
Somebody please quote this. Quote this.
he said
Like,
so this game gave you a
first.
deep connection.
It did
like,
right away. It was
Like,
it's
totally hooked.
amazing. I'll talk about it in a little bit. Like I said,
Okay, I'm excited.
But there's something to this game. Anyway, we'll get into that here in a little bit. So I've been playing RimWorld this week. I played a little bit of Pokemon. You know, just kind of doing my chill thing this week. However, this next week I'm looking very forward to once again playing through Death Stranding. So we'll talk about that more here right now with the weekly headlines.
Yeah, headlines. Let's go.
Headlines. So coming out in video games this week for all of you Halo fans, Master Chief Collection on PC is adding Halo 3 to PC and Xbox. Well, I think Halo 3 is already out on Xbox, right? At least part of Master Chief Collection. But coming to PC now, Halo 3 for all of you Halo fans out there. Definitely excited about that. And like I was saying, Death Stranding officially releases on PC tomorrow. I played through that game on PS4 and beat it in like the first week. I was very happy about it.
You're pronouncing that game wrong, Clink. It's not Death Stranding.
What is it?
UPS walking simulator.
That's not even clever.
Ding, 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 the fight's out. Who's gonna win? Is it Click or hand grenade? The fight begins now.
It's not even clever. Like, you're not even playing on the title of the game. Come on, come up with something better than UPS walking simulator.
Money. All you had to do is go drive a truck for UPS. At least he wouldn't have to walk around everywhere.
You can drive and ride on zip lines, sir.
Sir. He's getting sir, and Raccoon's not even here. Just sir.
Anyway, Death Stranding comes out on PC tomorrow. I've already preloaded it, and I'm going to be streaming that all week long. Very excited and cannot wait. Neon Abyss comes out on all platforms. It's a side-scroller roguelike dungeon delver with guns and neon cyberpunk. Another one cashing in, of course, on Cyberpunk that was going to be coming out, but obviously got delayed. So.
And of course, the roguelike trend.
And of course, the roguelike trend.
It's pretty fun. It looks like it's kind of got that forward momentum of like a Dead Cells.
Yeah.
That looks pretty fun.
It looks pretty cool. So if you're a fan of side-scrollers and roguelike dungeon delvers, that game's for you. PS4, Xbox One, and PC has Rocket Arena coming out. Now this I feel like is simply an EA cash grab, being an Overwatch clone, but third person and 3v3 battles. Very cartoony, and it's just straight up 3v3 Overwatch clone, but EA.
But EA, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked too much into it, but that's something that all I've seen so far has been people complaining, so I haven't quite looked
satisfied.
Into it yet, so
Hey,
I can't.
I love Overwatch. In case anybody haven't.
Yeah, of course. And Overwatch has a great game loop, but having to clone that because EA is EA is.
But here's the thing: all the other clones sucked. So, do you think this one would survive? You looked into it.
I don't at all.
Yeah.
It is not great from what I've seen. So, anyway, that comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I don't think it has crossplay. Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town comes out on PC and Switch. It's a top-down, cute farming simulator. So anybody who wants a chill, cute, kind of chibi game, this one's for you. Story of
Kind of
Seasons.
chibi or like full blown chibi?
Oh, it's like full blown chibi.
Oh, okay.
You're a chibi, Clink.
If you like kawaii games, this is definitely for you. It's cute and it looks pretty good for Switch. So if you want something simple and easy and waste some time or enjoy your time wasting time, you know. Beyond a Steel Sky comes out on PC, follow up to the 90s classic PC adventure game Beneath a Steel Sky. It's set in a technologically advanced city during the post-apocalypse. Open world, make your own choices, kind of like Borderlands mixed with Fallout. So that comes out on PC on the 16th. I think that's Thursday. What a weird day for a game to release.
Sky. Interesting. I hadn't looked into this one.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So
Now,
the next one.
Do you want to do this one, Grenade?
I don't know a whole hell of a lot about the storyline. If you know more, go ahead and speak. I just know what I want to say about it.
Okay, Ghosts of Tsushima comes out on PS4 on Friday. Samurai
Tsushima.
fighting in feudal Japan. Island exploration, insane graphics, and a kick-ass storyline. It's all in Ghosts of Tsushima. Samurai Simulator.
So I'm fucking geeked about this game. Anybody in chat on Google, you wherever you're listening to this at, please leave comments. I would love to get with you guys and talk to you guys about this game after you've played it. And I would love to talk to you, see if you can relate it to Sekiro, which I loved. I loved that game so much. Chibi.
Kawaii.
I loved it. It was such a good game. And if it's anything remotely close to that, it's going to be amazing. When I was watching a little bit of the gameplay, do you guys remember that guy, that game Tenchu Z?
I do.
By any chance?
No.
It reminded me a lot of that game, and I am fucking stoked for it. So anybody out there who's going to play it or played Sekiro, whatever, Clink, I'd love to get with you guys about it and talk and bullshit about this game.
I can't wait for Ghosts of Tsushima.
I'm so stoked for it.
I mean, it's another $60 I'm going to have to spend, but, you know, it's going to be worth it. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to be Souls-like gameplay or what the gameplay is actually going to be. I haven't seen a whole lot on that.
Right.
I need to do my research a little bit better. But that's okay. It's still an exciting game. I love any samurai game and space game. Too bad there's not a samurai in space game. That'd be a cool game.
Actually, that's Excalibur.
Isn't that also Warframe?
Yep. That's what I mean. Excalibur.
Anyway,
Warframe.
Ghost of Tsushima comes out on Friday. Cannot wait. Paper Mario, the Origami King, comes out on Friday as well on Switch. A new Paper Mario adventure complete with origami baddies. That's right. Bowser as an origami thing. It's gonna be cool.
Thing.
Do you guys like Paper Mario? I love Paper Mario.
No, that has no interest in me at all.
And I'm a Zelda fan, and I hated that one that was like, was it Wind Waker? That was like Paper Mario. Looked like
Come
Paper
on,
Mario.
what is
Wind Waker
wrong
was
with
good
you
though.
guys?
That was a good game.
I hated it every
Wind Waker
second of
was
it.
dope.
So
Paper Mario's
I am
not
also looking a little bit into on chat. Grills just said spending over $30 on a game makes me want to chunder.
Chunder.
So like
British, so,
thunder,
you know.
shudder. I don't know what that is. Anyway,
Chunder.
what the news that's out there right now is NBA 2K21 is going to be $70 base price. So we don't know if all games are actually going to be raising in cost.
That makes me want to chunder.
It makes me want to chunder as well.
I'm chundering a little bit right now. I got some after chunder.
So we'll see.
In
See
my
what
maw
happens
right
with
now.
the price of games coming out. In other gaming news, Ubisoft just did their Ubisoft Forward announcements, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about later in the episode with our subject of the night being our games changing as we know it. We saw a whole lot of stuff from Ubisoft Forward, including Far Cry 6, which the trailer looked amazing. If you're a fan of the Gus Fring character from Breaking Bad, that is going to be the game for you, because he is the bad guy. If you haven't watched that trailer yet, go watch it. It's great. Penn, what other games did Ubisoft announce there?
Yeah, so Ubisoft Forward just has an event. It wasn't just about games. I do want to point out that I feel like the whole event was like a just because we all know what's going on at Ubisoft right now, right? Like it's super publicized. The firings from the harassments and all this stuff
Yep.
has been going on, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about it. But Ubisoft Forward is not just forward for their games; it's forward for their company. And it looks like they're trying to put that we've moved on, we're doing better, we're all inclusive, all this kind of stuff moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. So they made that very clear without talking about it. I thought they handled that deftly, considering what's going on, right? No need to sit there and talk about it for an hour. They just jumped right in and did their own thing. So anyway, basically what they covered was updates to the current games, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six Siege, everything that's out now, the current titles. They're all getting major updates before the year ends. And then, of course, we have the new games with Watch Dogs Legion. That's the big new Watch Dogs game that's coming out. So they showed
speaking of
gameplay
Watch
footage.
Dogs. Speaking of Watch Dogs,
Watch Dogs. Say it right, Clink.
I watched my dog that doesn't exist.
Speaking of Watch Dogs.
Okay, but seriously, Watch Dogs 2 is out for free on PC on the Uplay store right now. But Watch Dogs Legion looked really good. I watched some of the in-depth stuff that they did on Ubisoft Forward, and it's basically you can take control of any character that you can recruit inside of London. So you're not just one main character now. You kind of build your own story around the characters you recruit and can do different things. So,
which is really cool. It's like you build your own resistance, and then you can invest in the characters that you like and you want to mess around with.
Yep.
Those are the ones you can invest time into, and it kind of reminds me of like an XCOM kind of thing where you get kind of drilled in on the ones you really like, and then you kind of get attached to them a little bit more. There's more investment, so that's pretty cool. That's a cool idea.
You think they'll throw out some nods to the last two characters? Because I know in 2 they only talked about the last character for like what,
the
10
Aiden
seconds.
character,
yeah, Aiden or whatever. Yeah,
I don't know.
Was that his name in the first one?
I think they probably will. It was, yeah. I don't know. I mean, CTOS is still a thing. There's a new big bad company that's like hacking everybody for their data, and you as the Resistance, the Legion, ends up recruiting other people to your cause. So what I was seeing was some of the characters, like say that you recruit a construction worker who has his own set of abilities, and then he gets arrested on a mission, but the mission still got completed, so the objective got completed. Then you've also recruited a lawyer to your cause to reduce his arrest sentence time. And then while the lawyer is infiltrating, she got shot, and then you also have a doctor that you've recruited, so her time in the hospital is less. So, kind of your gameplay revolves around these characters that you build your story of. And that, I don't know what the main storyline is going to look like, but it does look really fun, and I'm looking forward to it.
So they covered that in depth, and then they also gave us my first look. I hadn't seen anything yet of the actual gameplay of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Couple of things about it. We'll talk more about it later because we're going to talk about how games are changing and whatever. I don't want to get too in depth now in the news, but as far as the news portion of it, it definitely is more visceral and brutal combat than I've ever seen from an Assassin's Creed game. It looked more like a God of War game. And the second thing is there's large scale assaults. Like they were showing a bunch of Vikings like grabbing a wooden ladder and throwing it up against a rampart, and they're charging up while arrows and bolts and oils coming down all over them and all this stuff.
Okay, so Viking raids, what you imagine in your head is buildings on fire, like a classic raid in a movie that you would see of pillaging kind of thing. And that's what it looked like. Like you shoot a fire arrow at a roof and it's on fire, and that catches the next building on fire, and everything's burning around you while you're annihilating these soldiers. It looked really good.
It looked really good. The AI looked really smart. Like we're getting a next gen gaming. They showed an AI enemy picking up a dead body and throwing it at you.
Yep,
that's cool.
Throwing rocks and stuff. So and then they talked about survival mechanics being more of a focus. Like you're invading a land that's foreign to you. You don't have a ton of supplies. So to physically eat and stay healthy, you have to go forage to hunt and improve your gear. And it looks like they've expanded those survival mechanics. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla looks like the most ambitious Assassin's Creed game yet. And it looks super amazing. So November 17th on that one.
Fluff put in chat there. It was like when you said that, when he picked his body and threw it at another guy, it reminded me of the new gun in Destiny. Slapping one motherfucker with another motherfucker.
Yeah.
Shit was so funny.
Yep. So that's that. That was that. They also talked. Click already mentioned Far Cry, but they talked about how Ubisoft Forward is going to be a regular thing. I was anticipating like one big reveal, like the PS5 reveal, like it to be a big thing. But Ubisoft Forward is a continuing series that they're doing moving forward.
So that way they involve their community more in what's going on in the like month to month kind of thing with Ubisoft.
Do you think they'll be more transparent than what they've been in the past with this?
I think so. I think because they're showing the faces of people at the offices. Like Ubisoft has always been Ubisoft, and you knew who the president was, you knew the vice president, you knew like the tops, right? But what I got excited about seeing in Ubisoft Forward more than anything was I got to see like the character designer from Hyperscape, for example, the new game that just is just kind of coming out on beta. Everybody's getting really excited about this new battle royale there. They brought her forward, and you get to see her and her passion for the characters and the way that she was talking about them, and you're getting to know the people behind Ubisoft, and I think that that's good for them. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Go Grenade.
With the Ubisoft being forward, you know, Ubisoft's been one of those companies that's always been under the scalpel with like Division and stuff like that. Like, I feel like if they are to stay and remain open about stuff that they're coming out with, like updates on their high priority games and stuff like that, that this could potentially be super, super, super good, right? But if they mess up in one way, I feel like it could be super, 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 super bad.
Well, yeah, they could mess things up, but I think they're trying to at least, involve their community more and be more transparent, like you said, Penn.
And I think that's what Ubisoft Forward is all about. So that's my take on it.
We'll see what happens here with future Ubisoft Forwards. But that mocap and the graphics in Far Cry 6. Whoo, boy.
Yeah. Far Cry 6, by the way, guys, it releases 2/18/21, by the way, for those that are curious about that release.
I still have to watch that video. I've not seen anything on that.
Watch
it. You have to right now, while we're talking.
Well, not right now.
That means that Clint and I can get a word in. That'd be good. Just watch it.
In other gaming news, Devolver Games did kind of a parody announcement thing. They made a 45-minute like parody video of these announcement games things where like you see, the Xbox announcements, and it was this whole 45-minute parody video. It's hilarious. But in there, they also announced a lot of their games and announced this really cool thing that's free on Steam called Devolver Land Expo. Now, this is categorized as a marketing simulator. Very interesting what they did with this, and I hope that we get more of this kind of thing in the gaming industry in general. So, Grenade, do you want to kind of say what Devolver Land Expo is and kind of the premise about it?
First of all, I want to say, like, I've had conversations with many of the guys that I game with about that next cool thing in gaming. I feel like Devolver Land did it. Like, the idea was so original and so basic that it made this whole thing fucking awesome. You can quote me on it. I try not to swear in this, but it was fucking awesome.
So for those of you who haven't played Devolver Land Expo, it drops you in front of basically the LA Convention Center, an abandoned LA Convention Center, and there's robots inside, and you're at E3 basically, and there's booths and everything, and it's this immersive experience of walking through an abandoned E3. So that's kind of the premise behind it. Now, what they did with that was just fantastic. So you walk up to these booths and you see the characters as if you're actually at a booth. It's built on the Unreal Engine, so they were able to import the assets from Unreal, and like the sky changes above you, and it's like you're there in that game for a moment. And then you see a trailer for the game. It was a very immersive experience, and I've never seen anything like that before. Grenade.
Can I talk now?
You can talk now. I just wanted to give the premise of what it was.
I was really walking myself into that one right there that you said. So, with the cool part about it that he all covered was, like you said, they brought down the whole LA Convention Center, and I had never been to the LA Convention Center, so I don't know what it looks like. But Clink has. He was saying, "Oh, this place looks just like it," and it was the whole premise behind it was like when you go into the Serious Sam booth, like it's got like grass everywhere and rocks and everything. Like if Twitch, if E3 looked like that, E3 would be so popular. But it's so cool that Devolverland was able to bring you the E3 experience from a free video game to look at their games that they're bringing in. And
because
so
it's actual news, right? Like it's actual, like here's the new trailers, here's the new information on our games and products and everything, just like E3 would have.
Right.
But it's in video game form because obviously with COVID, we're not doing it.
Right.
So
The
I
cool
think it's
part,
smart.
if they would have added one thing to that, it would have been like, because they had like all the booths where you could test games in the game. If you could go up to one of those booths and like play like a 5-minute version of that game, that would have been so fucking rad. But otherwise, it was just so cool. Like the idea, I feel like if this doesn't put Devolverland like super on the map, even with the final part of that, I don't want to ruin too much. I posted it in chat a couple times so people can put it in their Steam, download it, and play it. It was just super fun and super cool. I wouldn't doubt if there's a game and other companies doing this next year.
I don't doubt that one bit. Like that was revolutionary what Devolver did with Devolverland Expo. So some of the games,
news nuggets here.
Some of the games that Devolver announced in there was Fall Guys, which is basically like a battle royale maze human fall flat kind of thing.
What?
Looks really cool and cartoony. That comes out next month and it's available on Steam.
That's a video game salad. Like that's like a mixture of things.
It looks really cool.
Dude, and it looked like it had all the ranch in the world on it. It looked fucking fun.
Yep. Carrion is where you play as the monster in a side-scroller pixel art kind of game. I know, Grenade, you're really excited about that one.
Yeah, I am. And I think that's out now if you look at the Steam store.
Carrion out?
Chuck,
okay.
Yeah, I think Chuck was saying that was out. I didn't look into it myself.
Olia is a samurai side-scroller pixel art game that looked really cool. I like pixel art kind of things. So they announced that one. Serious Sam 4.
Oh, man.
I haven't played a Serious Sam game in so long, man.
Yeah.
Dude, the new Serious Sam looked fun, man. Fun.
Disc Room, which is a top-down kind of Super Meat Boy mixed with the Cube or Cube movie and like the box. I don't know. Like
what was that one called
again? You're stuck in boxes. Disc Room, and there's like blades like trying to kill you. And anyway, it looked pretty cool. If you're a Super Meat Boy fan, Weird West. Penn, this is a game for you.
Weird West. Tell me about it.
Yes,
it's a top-down RPG where your choices matter, and there's vampires and werewolves. You're stuck in the Weird West, so it's a crossover of a Western mixed with supernatural. I know you're looking it up now.
I'm looking it up right now.
I can hear those thumbs slapping the keyboard.
It looks really cool, and the choices in the game actually matter. You know, a character dies, those choices are permanent.
Nice. Devolver Digital. I like it.
Yep. Blightbound is a game that is... Did you have something to say about Weird West?
Yeah. No. I was saying Carry On. It's July 23rd, but you can download the sneak peek to it right now.
Okay.
That's a cool
Blightbound's a dungeon delver. You play with a few of your friends, and the art style looks really cool. It's like hand-drawn art style.
I'm loving these indie studios right now. I mean, look at all these games. The way that these not studios, like these indie publishers right now that are just like grabbing up all these super creative projects, giving them a little infusion of cash, and then we're getting these West of Deads and all these other things now.
Totally.
Oh, that's great. I'm loving it. Devolverland, man.
And finally, they announced Shadow Warrior 3. So if you like Shadow Warrior, this one's gonna be for you.
Yeah, I loved Shadow Warrior 1 and 2.
Not really. I wanted to. It's one of the games I had a lot of friends that were stoked about. And I'm like, all right, let me try it. And underwhelmed is the word.
So, Devolverland Expo, if you get a chance, it's like 8 gigabyte download free on Steam. Go check it out. It's really unique and kind of revolutionary in what I think games companies are going to start doing in a COVID world. So, go check it out. It's pretty awesome.
I'm a material girl.
Anything else for games that you guys want to talk about at all before we move on to anime? That's it? All right. Cool. So anime, there's a new show coming out called Gibiate. Comes out on the 15th on Wednesday. It's in Japan 2030. Earth is overrun by a disease that turns people into different monsters, and it's kind of like a futuristic samurai kind of anime. So looks pretty awesome. And of course, it is the summer season of anime, so check out Fire Force, Sword Art Online, ReZero, all those great animes all have new seasons, and No Guns Life. I know we talked about that last week, but they're all great. I'm so excited it's summer anime season. short anime section, but that's all the anime coming out this week. In TV shows, Peacock TV. NBC Universal has their own new streaming platform. It is free with ads, or you can pay a subscription to get rid of ads. I think they have 3 different subscription tiers. But Peacock TV, the new hot thing on the market, they've got a whole bunch of original content that's coming out, as well as putting all of NBC Universal stuff on there. Now, I thought NBC started Hulu, so I don't know why. I guess they had to come up with their next new platform as well as Hulu, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Hulu's probably like a different department,
Probably. Anyway, so they have original content on there, such as a brand new sci-fi show, Brave New World, based on the book by Aldous Huxley, Brave New World, written in the 30s. Awesome story. We'll see how it goes as a TV show.
An awesome story. I'm familiar with that story. I'm excited to see a TV show with Alden Ehrenreich.
I mean, it's basically a live-action sci-fi kind of like We Happy People game, living in a perfect world that isn't really that great. It's got a kick-ass cast, though, including the guy that played Solo. So.
Yep, Alden Ehrenreich, man.
I didn't know it was a book, so it's going to be like the game We Happy Few?
Yeah. We Happy Few. I know I said people, but We Happy Few. That's kind of the storyline of it. Is like they take these pills to make them feel happy, but the world itself is not actually that great of a place. So check that out. Peacock TV releases on Tuesday, tomorrow. A whole bunch of content coming out. So Peacock TV. Stretch your feathers.
Stretch your feathers. Oh gosh, good thing you're not their marketing brand manager. Holy crap.
Oh, come on. That was a good one. People love dad jokes.
People love dad jokes. But stretch your feathers? Like
strut your feathers.
Oh, you said strut.
Strut
There
your feathers.
That's better. I'll take that one. That one's better.
You don't gotta stretch your feathers. You can't stretch feathers.
That's what I was saying. You can't stretch feathers.
They're feathers. Come on. All right. Netflix has a new show made by Frank Miller. Yes, the Frank Miller Sin City Watchmen, called Cursed, a reimagining of the Arthurian legend told from the elves' point of view, I guess, or like the fairies' point of view. So there's going to be wizards, warlock, magic, and knights in Cursed. That comes out on the 17th. So.
Man, if there's ever been a story that's been told and retold, man, it's the Arthurian legends, dude.
Yep.
But still, Frank Miller, I'm down.
Frank Miller,
out of all the Frank Miller things you said, you didn't even say Batman.
Okay, fine. Batman 2. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's just what came to
that was a given, though. Like, let's just take that one for granted.
Nope.
Grenade, I'm looking at you.
Grenade, I'm looking at you.
Batman.
What's this Alienist thing?
So the Alienist, I think this is like season 2 of the Alienist. It's in Victorian London, kind of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type stories in a Victorian London. They take all these kind of legends and put them into a TV format. So Angel of Darkness, season 2 of the Alienist comes out on the 19th on TNT. I saw season 1. It was very interesting. Cool format for a show. Very dark. It's good.
Oh, okay.
You'll like it. Die Hard comes out on Quibi. If you don't know what Quibi is, it's kind of like this short format TV series. Short bites is, I think, what their slogan tagline is. But Kevin Hart is in a TV show on Quibi coming out on the 20th. It's a show about him wanting to become an action star, getting trained by a John Travolta. So That looks really funny, actually. I saw the trailer. It looks hilarious. So check that out, Die Hard. And of course, we already talked about it, Peacock TV. So that comes out mañana. That's it for TV. Anything else you guys want to add?
Oh yeah, TV shows. Like there's a little something that I wanted to bring up. It's a really cool nerddom thing it might be just about to break, but basically the leaks now that have been confirmed, reconfirmed, or re-leaked, and everybody's talking about it, is that Jon Bernthal is back as the Punisher. It's all been but confirmed at this point. So what's basically going on right now is negotiating between Disney and Hulu, and as well as at least one other streaming platform, because they don't want to put the Punisher on Disney Plus because they want to do the War Journal stories. With Sam Jackson as a cussing Nick Fury is what the quote is from one of the people at Disney, a cussing Nick Fury. And imagine Nick Fury, Sam Jackson as Nick Fury kicking it around with Jon Bernthal as the Punisher, right? And then you bring it back, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, and that whole universe, all that together as the War Journal. But they're thinking about Hulu as the source, so they're working on that deal right now, which would be.
So they pulled it from Netflix. I thought they had like a 7-year contract where they couldn't do anything with it.
No. So they can't continue that universe. So they've had to scrap it. So they've scrapped it. Everything that happened is now an alternate universe, and now they're gonna bring in and they're gonna retell basically the Punisher story via the War Journal comics as the base.
Got it. That's cool.
Right, and then they're gonna kind of restart that. But they want Jon Bernthal back. They want Charlie Cox back. Looking at Vincent D'Onofrio to come back in as Fisk. I mean, bringing back a lot of that cast and just doing like this is now a different universe, right? But it's
what?
Plus.
The Netflix casted some great people for those shows. Besides Iron Fist, like Daredevil and Punisher were amazing, and I was even a big fan of
Jessica Jones. That was a big Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
Jessica Jones too. I was trying to avoid all of them, but Iron Fist. I liked them all, but Iron Fist.
I enjoyed Iron Fist. Yeah. Come on, guys.
I hated Iron Fist about it. They diluted the storyline so bad, like I couldn't get into it.
But they haven't mentioned everybody. They haven't mentioned anything about Jessica Jones. That's not been confirmed. Who knows, right? Luke Cage probably. Mike Coulter did a great job, so maybe they're going to bring him back. But
he did.
But I know for sure. Like it looks like Charlie Cox is back in now. He's also being linked to movies, but that's still who knows. But
I heard something about him being the next Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, like they're thinking about him coming in and being Peter Parker's lawyer has been kind of the things that's been kind of bantied around over there. But who knows? But as far as TV shows go, that's the news there.
Are we in? Yeah. The next one. I want to say something about the next one at the end.
So movies, is that the next one you want to talk about?
Yeah,
we'll talk about movies. Enter the Fat Dragon, coming out on video on demand on the 14th. So tomorrow, it's a Chinese action comedy about a fat guy who's good at karate. I think it's actually like a karate ninja guy who's in a fat suit.
Enter the Fat Dragon. Why am I thinking Chris Farley should be starring in this? And
I know, right?
What's that movie? Beverly Hills Ninja. I thought the same thing.
That's my first thought. I want Chris Farley doing this. If it's not Chris Farley or Jack Black, I'm out.
So I know we talked about Peacock TV earlier. They're also doing some original programming movies. So any fans of Psych out there, that TV show Psych, I know I am. The Psych Boys are back for more shenanigans in Psych 2. Lassie Comes Home. So Psych is coming back with the full cast. Grenade, is that the one you wanted to talk about?
No, there is, but okay. I fucking love Psych, man. The series was so good.
So Psych 2 is kind of a made for streaming. I can't say made for TV because it's not really TV. So made for streaming movie with the Psych Boys. And finally, in our select choice of movies that are releasing, Ghosts of War, coming out on video on demand. It is a horror / World War II film where soldiers, they're watching over a French chateau and experience what the Nazis did to this family in this supernatural horror thing. So it's obviously abandoned when the soldiers get there. There were some horrors that happened to this family by Nazis, and it's basically haunted by the family and Nazis, and the soldiers experience what happened to the family. So kind of cool crossover there of World War II horror.
So, did you guys hear that they're doing an Uncharted movie?
Yes.
I did.
Did you see who they cast? Yeah, Tom Holland as
Ooh.
and he, so when they created that part, they created it to look like Kate Six. What's his name?
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion. But if they go back to his younger years, like the first game, Tom Holland's perfect. And I'm so geeked about it because they started filming it again. And I had
they
just
just went back to filming.
yeah, I loved Uncharted. It's probably one of my favorite game series of all time. And I was geeked to find out that Tom Holland was going to be the Nathan Drake. Dude, I was geeked. I just wanted to put that out there.
I just want to see information on who's writing it and stuff, because that's why I'm geeked about like the Lord of the Rings show. And I do want to mention, you mentioned that like it's back on filming. A bunch of stuff just got back on filming in New Zealand because they have no COVID cases except for a couple that just entered the country through an airplane. And now they're back. They're at hospitals and sequestered and quarantined and everything. But there's no COVID cases. So now they're filming the Amazon Lord of the Rings show is back on. And a lot of these movies that they've been working on are all back on. And that's one of them that's back on now. They're filming in New Zealand. So that's dope that they're back to filming all this stuff, man. Oh, yeah. The other one that's back is Cowboy Bebop. That's filming now. I
didn't know they were filming it. I thought John Cho was still out because he was still injured.
No. He's good. He got good, but then COVID. What I read was he's good. Then COVID happened, and now they couldn't film more. And then now they're back in New Zealand filming with the whole cast now.
I'm stoked for that show. I'm so
bring it on. And then if they don't put that theme song in as the original theme song, the way it's supposed to be, if it's not,
I won't watch it. I won't watch it.
I'm going to be so disappointed. But I'm so excited.
It's just like Sonic. If he didn't mention chili dogs, man, that movie wouldn't have been worth it.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I had for movies.
Cool. So lots of cool news in movies. Definitely excited about what's coming out, and we'll have more movies for you next week. There's always movies getting released. I mean, there's obviously more than what we talked about, but we kind of handpick the ones that we.
I liked how you spelled shenanigans in here, and then how you tried to pronounce it live on air.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Wow.
I spell things phonetically a lot of times because then I otherwise screw up what I say. So.
But you screwed up what you said.
Sheena Hanahams.
Yep, Sheena Hanahams is what I'm calling them from now on.
All right, in comic book news.
Comic books.
Spence is like, fuck.
Man, I'm just gonna get beat on today. Empire #1 is coming out on the 15th, so comic books release on Wednesday. Empire #1, the Kree and Skrulls have united under a new emperor, and the Avengers are fighting back. So check that out.
That's good. That's good, Clint. That sounds good.
Yep. 2020 Wolverine #1. Wolverine and Iron Man have a tie-in, which is interesting. I know they're in the same universe.
Do they? Yeah. I wasn't aware of that one, huh? Yeah. I wasn't tracking.
Choni's gonna love this next one.
Absolutely. Taking it back to 1984, Transformers '84, Secrets and Lies #1, a new telling of the original Transformers comic universe. So that's a new comic series coming out.
Yesterday, when you went over that, when you said that, I was like, I gotta check this out. I looked it up, and it's legitimately the old artwork from like the old cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah, like Megatron, Optimus Prime, they all look like the old cartoons.
That's cool.
I thought that was neat.
Snake Eyes Dead Game #1. Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe is getting his own comic.
Wow, Snake Eyes, huh?
Snake
Is that
Eyes.
something people have been asking for? Is a Snake Eyes comic?
I don't know. I feel like it's like Metal Gear Solid. You know?
Yeah,
like if Metal Gear Solid had a comic, that would be it.
I want to know more about this just because I'm not interested in it. And like, why would somebody make a comic that's not interesting?
Snake Eyes was awesome though. Like,
but his own comic though.
Totally, dude. He's like, if you were to watch, Snake Eyes was to G.I. Joe like Kato was to the Green Hornet. Like he was the one that did all the ass kicking, but the rest of the G.I. Joes didn't do shit.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite that stark, but yeah.
So it was true.
It wasn't that stark of a contrast.
Sacred 6 #1 comes out on the 15th. It's a spin-off of Vampirella. I have to say it that way.
You have to say it that way? Okay. I like
Vampirella, yes. It Eats What Feeds It, #1, coming out. It is a horror in the bayou of Louisiana where a woman seeks out treatment for worsening affliction and things probably go a little haywire with monsters and the swamp and
Makes sense.
Yep. So a horror comic book. Engine Ward #1. Earth is an ancient myth, and the word of godlike celestials is absolute. An everyday guy discovers a secret that will bring down everything. So that one's like a futuristic. What was that movie back in the day that, like, you know, there's, if you're not like a robot human, you're not allowed to do anything, and like the humans rise up. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be kind of like that.
Like them? No, it's not ringing the bell.
Yeah, lost on that one too, Clink.
Well, I don't know. Anyway,
But I want to read the comic book based on how you described it, man.
Sounds pretty cool. No Heroine #1, an 18+ comic with drugs, vampires, and punk rock. Kayla is on her 90th day sober, but a heroin-slinging vampire wants to mess up her plans.
Wow, a heroin-slinging vampire.
You know it.
They're really pulling out all the stops, man.
Pulling out all the stops. Betty
totally
Page, #1, new series from Carla. I don't know how to say words. Carla Pacheco, I think.
Good attempt. I like it.
Good attempt. Creator of Spider-Woman and Vincenzo Federici from Army of Darkness tells the story of a young girl who's shooting a movie on a tropical island when one of her cast members gets murdered. So murder mystery kind of.
Murdered.
Yep.
Oh man.
It's like a whodunit type deal. Like,
I think so. That's kind of what it was described as. And finally, the one that I'm looking forward to, another 18+ comic, Murder Hobo, Beaten, Broken, and Buggered, #1.
Oh God.
So this
it's
one
the
I feel like
part that has me personally concerned, Clink.
this one I feel like the creator did a D&D campaign with a murder hobo in it and just did a comic book about their D&D campaign. Because it's a band of adventurers join forces with the wrong kind of hero, the Murder Hobo. The worst kind of
murder hobo. God damn, dude.
I can't stand playing with murder hobo type characters where it's like, hey, like, we gotta go rescue this person. I'm just gonna kill everybody. I'm
just gonna slaughter everybody. Yeah. We all know that guy at the table. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Don't be the murder hobo.
Especially as a dungeon master myself, don't be that guy, because I've got this whole thing laid out. This is going to lead you to another character, which leads you to 2 more, which leads you to like this awesome story. But then you smite him upon your axe because you are a douche fuck. And I've had it.
You're a douche fuck.
Like, it's no.
So that kind of wraps it up for comic books. Anything else that you guys have in comic book world?
You skipped over anime, bud.
No, he did anime.
I did anime.
Oh, you did the one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm stoked about
Gibiate.
anime.
He was weebed. He was all weebed up today.
He got weebed. Yep.
I talked about No Guns Life and Sword Art. Where were you?
Where were you?
I was like listening for you to say something about that because I forgot the name of it. But so I copied it and pasted it to save it.
Oh, yes. Gibiate comes out. It's going to be cool. So that kind of wraps up our weekly headlines. I know, we've had a few of you guys in chat here. Grenade, I know that normally we do Q&A, right?
Yeah, Raccoon is definitely our Q&A person. She's damn good at it. And I definitely, as we're talking, we definitely need a Raccoon back in this channel because we are tearing off on tangents.
We need so bad.
She brings us back. But yeah, at the end of the show, what we're gonna be doing is Q&A. Please, I'll scroll through them, find questions. So if you have questions, like, try to hold them to the end, but I'll try to grab them up as we're doing it through too. So
yep. So Q&A.
Yep.
You can also type Q&A, !Q&A in chat, and that will tell you more about that as well. So roundtable reviews, yeah? Because want to go into this?
Let's do it.
So I'm going to start this one out this week. I know I was talking about it earlier. I have become addicted to this game. It is called
the footage.
RimWorld. and it is based. So it describes itself as a storyline simulator, where the AI creates these random events in the game to build a story around your colonists. So I'll roll the footage while I'm kind of talking about it, because there's no real way to describe it other than just kind of talking about it. So this is RimWorld. So here I have like 11, 12 colonists. I think it's 11 at that point. I started this with 3 colonists that crashed on this planet and slowly built up my colonists from there. So you have to hunt, grow food, mine, collect resources to survive. Now, you're on a planet, so the seasons change. So they get cold, they get hot. So you have to care for your colonists and kind of tell them what to do. Making food, whatnot. And so that's kind of the game loop of this game. But really, it comes down to the storyline of your colonists. Like, I care for each and every one of these colonists. So I started with 3. I had a bunch of invaders come in, and I would knock some of them out and capture them, put them in prison for a while, and then recruit them to my cause. So that's how I started gaining more people. So to kind of go off on one of these stories that happened in my game, Sayo is this kid that showed up. He's Sayo the Vengeful, and so some raiders raided my camp. I ended up killing them, and then Sayo shows up about a week later to avenge his dad's death.
Wow.
And so I knocked him out. I captured him. He was captured for about 3 months, and then I finally recruited him to my cause. And then, he's living around the camp. He doesn't have a desire to go home or anything, because he's on my side now. And a few months later, his mom actually shows up to trade with like a trading group. And so that's one of the many stories that you kind of get into. I have this other character that I've been growing smoke leaf and making smoke leaf joints out of it. And she got addicted to smoke leaf and now has to smoke 3 times a day. And you can set kind of these automated commands of, hey, so I know you're addicted to smoke leaf, so go ahead, pick up some in your inventory, have some on you at all times, just in case, so you don't like have a mental break and go on like a food tangent. And so then she got carcinoma, so I had to harvest one of her lungs and then replace it with a bionic lung. And so this game just gets very in-depth. You have like a research
and that's
tree.
Just 2 characters, right? So you said you have 13. So they all have their own ticks and quirks and
they
stories.
They all have their own ticks,
are...
quirks. None of them are perfect. Some of them that have like achy backs, and then if you can replace their spine, they stop having an aching back, and then they go on these mental breaks. So if their happiness gets too low. So I had one guy go off on a psychedelic tea tangent where like he just drank psychedelic tea for an entire day because he was so unhappy, so so you have your colony, but then you can also go travel in a caravan to other colonies and go trade with them. The winning point of the game is to get enough research level to build your own ship and escape the planet, or travel to across the entire continent in a caravan to escape this planet on a ship. So the whole point is to get off of the world eventually, but you have to survive as some colonists, and you can turn up the difficulty of the game. It's very in depth, very micromanaging. I love it.
Yeah, that was my next question, was the micromanaging, because I'm looking at the left side of the screen and I'm seeing like, what is that, 35, 25 resources, something like that. Just
there's so many resources. And it's crazy.
What are the functions of your? What are the functions of like your colony itself? Like, do you have refinement going on? Are you doing anything with these resources? Like, what are the functions?
So you can refine resources into other resources. You also need resources to build your colony. Like, I had to actually go in and build all these walls, build all the floors, build the lights, build the generators, So you need resources to build. You also need resources to survive. At one point, I ran out of food entirely and had to like figure out how to get food in the middle of winter because your crops won't grow if it's snowing outside. You know,
didn't store enough food. That's a classic mistake.
So
Classic.
yeah, you got to store food. You also have to store a ton of weed, otherwise,
Smoke leaf.
smoke leaf.
What do you think of Grenade? You said you hate this game.
Like if I spawned in, my entire village would be on fire. Like I feel like
It can light on fire and explode. I had one guy who's a pyromaniac, and he'll randomly sometimes like go on a pyromania spree. He got into my storage and blew up all the chem fuel, lighting the entire storage on fire.
Dude, these people are out of control. Who chose them as colonists? Like, what the hell?
That was
man?
one of the guys that I captured as a prisoner and recruited him to my side. Little did I know he's a pyromaniac.
I'd be that guy sitting there going, "No, dickhead! I told you to go over here," and he wouldn't listen, and I would punch a hole in my screen. Like this is insane.
So it's really fun. You can manually tell your colonists to do things, or you have a work screen with priorities to be like, hey, I want you to mine as your top priority, right? So he'll go mine resources from the ground, or I want you to craft things as your top priority. So you have a whole top priority screen of like 20 different things that you can set as priorities. And it auto sets it for you at first, and then you can go in and micromanage those priorities. Or, I have a whole bunch of animals here that I've gathered, and so I have to make sure I feed my animals, and I can set different priorities for them as well, where they can only go into a certain area, and I can train them to attack for me or haul things for me. And so you can see that I'm speeding up and slowing down the game time as needed.
Right.
And so it's a survival storyline game. You build your own
people would love
storyline
that,
out
man.
of it.
Too bad he's not here. He would have loved to see this. Yeah,
So-
that looks interesting, Clink.
So
What's your review? Like, first the other question I have is, how many hours are we looking at right now to get to where you are?
So I've probably spent 20 hours in this colony.
That's about 20 hours of building and.
Yep. And I'm almost done with my research tree finally. Right now I'm probably closer to 30 hours where I'm at, but I'm almost at end game. There's some resources you can only get from traders, and those are the ones for end game. So you have to figure out how to trade with other colonies. I built some launch pods to send resources out to other colonies so they'll come and trade with me. It's a very complex, in-depth game.
So that they'll come trade with you.
Smoke leaf.
You can get them.
You're like an interstellar drug dealer over here.
I am kind of. So my favorite. I was reading some reviews on this. My favorite review by far was this one paragraph. This game is crazy. It's like the old days when it's like, hey, let me just finish this step. Let me just build this building kind of attitude. You completely forget about time and space. Prepare to set your alarm and not be surprised when you see the sunrise. And that happened to me like 3 times already, where it's like, I forgot that I was on the game for 15 hours because it was just like, oh, I just got to build this. Oh, I just got to mine this. Oh shit, I'm out of medicine. I got to go get some medicine somewhere. It's like, let me just get to that next step. Let me just get to that next step. It's highly addictive, like Smoke Leaf, and very fun. So
Very funny.
Man, like I seriously.
How many chocobos?
How many chocobos do I give this? I give this 5 out of 5. Hands
5
down.
chocobos?
It's
Nice.
so good.
RimWorld, 5 out of 5 chocobos.
Yep. So
I feel like I would have an aneurysm.
that's RimWorld for you.
Wow,
It's-
Grenade's
it
not going to be
starts-
playing that game.
It starts you out really slow, and there's a great tutorial for it. Walks you through everything, and then you kind of have to learn.
Grenade's
from
too
there.
ADHD for that, man. I'm telling you.
I am
But
100%.
the thing is, you could play it on slow mode, where you're just on like 1x speed, and the game pauses whenever something bad happens.
But
you
see,
know?
Grenade's the kind of guy I can see getting frustrated with a Sims character and building 4 walls around them and just leaving them in the backyard.
You can do that.
I would do that. I would absolutely do that. Like I tried playing. I was watching Mama Jen play The Sims the other day, and the whole time, this chick's doing naked yoga or whatever and screaming. I was thinking about how I could torture that person.
Exactly. So let's
Wow.
let's not give RimWorld to Grenade's hands. Let's more
Mhm.
responsible hands.
It's about $35 on Steam right now. It was on sale last week for the Steam sale, but it is worth every penny. And every game is different. You know, you spawn into a new world, a new environment with new difficulties, and
Look when I'm done being like stuck in Stellaris, because that's Stellaris. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna play for a couple hours, and then it's 6 a.m. and I'm like, shit.
And depending on the AI you pick, there's 3 different AIs with different characteristics. You know, one of them is just completely random, where this will happen or this will happen, and they have different characteristics. Where one does something, leaves a lot of time in between, and then something else happens, or it's just like one thing after the next. So it's a lot of fun. Big fan of it. So you guys, Grenade, I'm gonna have you intro this one. You guys are doing a review on
The Old Guard.
Yes.
So instead of me introing it, I came up with this concept. Penn and I have 2 different reviews on it. Penn's the more analytical side and the writing side of it. I'm going to be more of the how it connects and the difference part from the comic and the movie itself. So I'm going to let Penn intro it from you, hand off, pass. And I'm going to come in with how I feel about the differences.
I would have done a better job catching it, but it was a Matt Stafford pass, so it totally.
Wow, sports reference, doing
sports reference
things
on Tetrad TV. I just like to hurt Grenade is all. I just like.
By the way, Mama Jen and Kevin are also Lions fans. By the way.
Yeah, see, I see it in there. I see it. What the fuck, man? I know I fucked up big time on that one. But yeah, so
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Jen swear.
Oh, I've seen her swear. Yeah, let me
So
we watched The Old Guard on Netflix. That's what we're reviewing today. Like he said, he kind of has his approach to how he wants to talk about it, and I have my different one. And that's great. We're gonna give you guys a couple different perspectives on this today, instead of me bringing something different to the table. So The Old Guard is a movie, $70 million budget. It's got Charlize Theron. It's got the guy's name that nobody knows how to pronounce.
Charlize Theron? Charlize Theron?
Yep. It's Charlize Theron, Charlize Theron, whatever you want to call him. Nobody can pronounce her name either. And then you got the guy from 7 Years a Slave, from Serenity, Chiwetel Ejiofor, if you guys could say his name. That was a tough one, too, to get out. It's got them in it and a bunch of other people from various TV shows. It's got a good cast. It's got a pretty dynamic cast, an inclusive cast, too, which is great news. But it's written by Greg Rucka. He's the screenplay writer who wrote the graphic novel series. So that's really cool. It's directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. Now, she hasn't done anything quite like this. Her background is definitely has been in other realms. So it's really interesting seeing her coming into the comic book world like we're doing. She did The Secret Life of Bees back in 2008. She was the writer of that. So for her kind of directorial debut and jumping behind the camera, she's really knocked it out of the park with this one. It's very straightforward, puts you right into the action, kind of like a Born Identity would. It's quick, it's fast paced like that. It's visceral, realistic in the way that they do things. Charlize, she does her own stunts, as she's been doing now for a while, and she knocks it out of the park. Very physical, very, very up. And then the story is, it's the best way to put it is it's simply told, which is great in this day and age of comic book films, of bigger than life things, of science fiction, the fantasy films that we have, even the cartoons that we have, like Frozen 2 was this crazy convoluted story, right? This was just simply told, right? From start to finish, a linear story. And I really appreciated that. So like I said, smaller budget here on Netflix, but it's part of the current wave of franchise development, right? So everybody right now is trying to start a new franchise. And that's kind of like as a franchise starter, this was interesting to me because it kind of broke all the rules that you want to do with a franchise starter, because it didn't do all the universe setup and all this other stuff like you would expect from it. It told a complete story about these guys and what's going on or whatever, and it laid a little bit of groundwork, but it wasn't what we're used to, where they're injecting all these different characters and all these different elements. No, it just gave us a flat story from start to finish. And now we're ready for the sequel. We're ready for just the continuing of that story rather than an introduction into a broader universe. Does that make sense? So it's very interesting for a franchise development movie.
What's the synopsis of The Old Guard?
The synopsis of this movie follows Andy. This is the main character played by Charlize Theron. Theron, whatever you guys ever pronounce her name. She's the main character. It picks up her story in the modern times, but she's this character that has lived for thousands of years. So her story goes back past Mongols, like way back into the
Mhm.
past. Grenade will have more information on that from the source material, but they didn't start there and give us a linear story of Andy. This is the story of them and the idea of them as a whole, right? So it starts in modern times, and it kind of shows a little bit about what they do and how the modern world is reacting to their presence. And the synopsis is just a simple story of who are these people, how are they existing in today's the days of face cameras everywhere. How do you stay hidden from a world that wants to
Right.
take you and exploit you? And that's kind of the sentimentality behind this film, because obviously, as all these characters are immortals, they're operators, they're badasses. Who wouldn't want the fountain of youth, right? And so, who knows? Maybe if we do enough research on them, we could find out what's causing their immortality and give it to everybody. And now everybody can become immortal. We can cure cancer. We can cure leukemia. We can do all these things, right? So I think it's a really good film right now in a day where we're kind of tired of comic book films in a way. Like they just keep coming out, keep coming out. I know I'm not sick of comic book films, but as a market, it's kind of like, okay, so what's the next big idea? Because it's the new ideas and the innovation haven't always been there. We've had some good ones, but it's not always there, right? We've had some bad ones, we've had some stinkers. It's really good to just get one that's just, you know what? This is based on a graphic novel. We're not going to hold anything back, but we're just going to tell the simple story. And I really appreciated that in this day and time.
I liked it. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you your review. 5 grenades on that one.
I
Let's give
reviewed
her a
5
big.
grenades.
That
Yeah,
was
I
really
do
good.
want to say though, my one critique, I almost forgot about it. My one critique about this was the writing itself. Is that you could tell that Rucka is
Yep,
a graphic novel writer because
exactly.
he writes a lot of the dialogue comes across as if you're about to turn the page. Because have you ever like you're reading a graphic novel, you're reading about you're giving some story, you're getting some, and then the dialogue speeds up as you get toward the bottom of the page, and then there's a joke, and you giggle as you turn the page, and then you're in a new thought. Your thought changes, you're refreshed. Now you're reading a fresh page, right? In the movie, that doesn't quite come across. It's a solid flowing sequence. So when you're trying to get those jokes across, if you don't time them correctly, then it doesn't work. And so the jokes are falling flat, and some of the dialogue that isn't timed right. It feels kind of weird and stilted is the word. So it's a little bit off pace, and sometimes it's also different. Like you could hear the exposition coming out, but it's like, okay, so this is a little bit out of character. You know what I mean? Like this is just exposition. It's not the dynamic dialogue we'd expect from a film. You could tell it was not written by a screenplay writer.
Right. So when I was going through watching it, like I read the graphic novels. I actually have a copy of them. And there's 2 of them. There was the story of the old guard, which is referred to, and drama match, or I can Andromeda I have of Scythia, which is Andy, right?
Hmm.
And it's how she's way back in the Knights Templar times, before the Till of the Hun, like how she survived and all the people she's gone through. Because for up to like 3 or 4 thousand years, she didn't see a soul, and she came across one friend. That was actually another story inside the original Old Guard comic, was her and Andy. Um, then we moved into the Force Multiplied, which is where the movie itself took place more than the actual story of Andy, which was cool because what they did, and I was talking about it last week because I was wondering how they were going to do it because I thought it was a series. They took Force Multiplied and continued on the second series of that, and they kept doing flashbacks to Andy's life when she found out she was immortal. Um, in the series, they find out how people are immortal. I don't want to tell you how because it would ruin it. In the comic books. It
Oh, yeah,
does.
please, no spoilers.
Yep, I'm not going to say that. But um, if like he said, he brought up Greg Rucka, right? Me and him had that conversation last night. He is definitely a graphic novel writer because when I was sitting, I was like, man, some of these punchlines really were kind of really cheesy, 80s action cheesy. But then Penn brought it back saying, it's because he's a graphic novel and it kind of flips to the book and you got the thought bubbles, which 100% right. Don't have the graphic novel writer write the screenplay next time because sometimes it came across as really, really bad. Um, Ruka is also known for Wonder Woman. if any,
Hmm.
the newer Wonder Woman, which is I think is like one of the best renditions of Wonder Woman, um, which is super rad. And I feel like when she was writing this, she was kind of, or I'm sorry, when Greg Rucka was writing it, I feel like he was using a more rugged, toned down version of the Wonder Woman that we know. Sticks to the morals, quiet, sticks to herself type deal. And then with Leonardo
Andy's a little
Fernandez,
that way too. Yeah.
yep. So that's why I was saying I think he was using his more of a Wonder Woman draw to Andy when he wrote the book. Now Leonardo Fernandez, he's also wrote Deadpool, Punisher, or not wrote, sorry, drew, penciled, and illustrated. So he did both sides of it. And if you go back and look at the Deadpools that he did, it's the early 90s, late 90s. I don't think he was
Deadpool.
really in the mid. Yeah, the Deadpool where you see like he's the super buff one standing like Spider-Man. Um, and then he wrote Punisher Max, which was almost identical to the old guard, which was rad because you saw the more if anybody knows anything about me, the best part comic books to me and how they transfer over to movies is if they try to keep it super close. And with the comic book itself, I feel like it's just that dingy, dark, you get more feeling from it versus the super shiny and bright comics. You know, I mean, those are cool, but this is the ones where I feel like they're more grounded in reality. And I think what they did is they transferred the movie itself into that, or that comic book into that movie, aside from the writing. I feel like they gave it a very dark and heavy overtone, which the comic books itself had. And to me, that was the best part of that movie. Now, the storyline going along with the graphic novels, I don't think was the greatest because, like we said before, it just seemed kind of like 80s B-roll type movie with the punchlines. But everything else in that movie was almost spot on, besides some of the characters that they changed out and did different things with. But what I see going forward, if they are going to try to build a universe on this, is in a few of the stories of Andy and the people in the old guard, they did a lot of offshoots, like the two guys that were in love. They did an offshoot on that one, and that one is actually a super, 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 super cool storyline because it was about the Crusades. And the Crusades, I like the
Right.
Crusades history. I think the
Well, yeah,
Crusades are super
Crusade
cool.
stuff is yeah.
Yep. Um, and so I think they can obviously go off on a trail on each one of those guys, but bringing the movie to the comics itself was super close. Honestly, one of the better renditions of a comic book movie to a comic book to a movie, which I thought was rad. Andy was spot on from the comics. That I can 100% attest to. Everybody else was kind of lame from the comics because
They may have been late for the comics, but I gotta say, like, as far as
no, the
characters
movies
go,
they were
I
later
loved how
than the
they did it.
movies.
There's little things, like, for example,
Mhm.
when the new character, don't wanna spoil anything, but when the new character is trying to figure out about their past, is getting to know them a little bit, they have so many inside jokes and knowing looks and
Right,
just little ticks and stuff that you often overlook when you're acting or you're writing a film
right.
or whatever, but they really got that part right. You really felt and believed it was credible that
Mhm.
these people had known each other for thousands of years. Like you totally bought it. Like it made a lot of sense based on how they interacted with each other. It
Right,
was like there was two that were super close, like their bond had become so close, and then there was others that were kind of like you could take them or leave them, and then there was a lot of in between
right.
and a lot of that stuff. It's just really dynamic and well written for a group of characters together. There's a lot of
Right.
complexity, and I
I
appreciated
mean,
that.
the last time I saw writing like this, that I truly, truly enjoyed on a very so the comic books are super political, actually. Like a lot of the stuff that they did were
Like
about
Watchmen, kind of political, or
yes, yes. And that's what I was going to refer it to. The last time I read a comic that was like this was The Watchmen, and I love The Watchmen. One of my top 10 favorite comic book series of all time,
Mhm.
graphic novels. Um, but with the movie, I like what they did. Instead of they talked about the things that Andy has achieved. They take this group of ragtag mercenaries, you want to say, and they're just doing things that they believe that is right. Right? No guidance, nothing. They see like, hey, this person's doing something wrong. They take care of it. They handle that, but they don't see the good that they're doing.
Right.
And they
That's the
never know
overall
the good
story
they're doing.
arc.
Yep.
Right.
And that right there
Mhm.
was how the like because if you read the books, I mean, we were briefly talking about it. The first one with Andy, like the books are fucking thick. Um, they talk about everything that she's done and the achievements that she's made, and towards the end, you find out everything that she possibly stopped from happening. And they did that, and I was wondering how they were going to align that into the movie, and they did a fantastic
they nailed that
of lining it into the movie, which was, to me, was rad. It was super rad. But for Rucka and Fernandez, this is totally different than what we're used to seeing them. I mean, I've never read Lazarus or Black Magic, but knowing Wonder Woman, Deadpool, and Punisher, I could tell you that it's so off canter from what they have done before. And I 100% give this movie 3 out of 5 beeholes.
3 out of 5, because for me it's 4 out of 5 pens. But I did want to point out one more thing that's exciting for me. Director Gina Prince Bythewood did say in a recent interview that the exact quote is, "Where the story goes is pretty phenomenal. So if the audience is for it, I think we are as well," in reference to a sequel. So they're down to make more as long as we're going to consume the content. So get out there and consume that content, because I want a second one.
The only reason why I'm not giving it 4 is because those one-liners really got to me, man.
Yeah, that's why
they were so cheesy. So cheesy.
I can't wait to watch it, because I haven't seen it yet. So thank you for the spoiler-free review.
It was hard. That was very hard, because there's a lot of stuff. Image Comics is the one who made the comics. So if you guys want to check it out, I highly recommend that for a comic book to read.
I'm going to, because I love the show. I'd seen it, right? I've seen it on the shelf. I just never grabbed it, but now I'm going to.
Yep.
Cool.
Anyways.
So the old guard, that sounds good. I can't wait to watch it this week. All right, so moving out of roundtable reviews and moving into our weekly topic item. Are games changing as we know it?
Yes.
So we'll start with the question.
We had Raccoon here for this one, but yes, go ahead and set it up, Clink. And
so as we move into 2020, 2021 with new consoles, new games coming out, we're kind of seeing this wave of single-player games getting released. I think a lot more than the multiplayer games. And looking at kind of the core titles and franchises, the single-player focus versus multiplayer focus, things like that. What models are these games taking that are different from even what we've seen 5 years ago? Like the 2015 model of games, or even before that. So, are games changing as we know it? Let's start with talking about the formula of games and what goes into that, and what we're kind of seeing from the past and what we're seeing now.
So what I can tell you is, like, I'll jump on this. So the developers and publishers of the past have been, let's look at franchises like Fallout, Grand Theft Auto, any sports franchise. Just pick one. It doesn't really matter. So many games where, we had success with Morrowind for Elder Scrolls, for example. Morrowind was a big success. So what they do? They made Morrowind again and again, right? They made the same game multiple times, because Daggerfall was very different from Morrowind, right? But once they hit success on Morrowind, boom, they made more Morrowind games. Grand Theft Auto has been the same thing since Grand Theft Auto 3, right? It's been the same game, right? Now, of course, they have GTO, whatever, but Red Dead Redemption made 2 of those, right? So it's been for years now, early 2000s moving on. It's been, we had success. Let's beat that dead horse until people stop buying the meat. You know what I mean? That's basically what the story's been. Fallout's still doing it. The innovation seems to take a backseat to the money. To, this is what people are buying. Let's just keep plumbing away at it. So what we're noticing now, watching Ubisoft Forward, watching some of the announcements coming out for games like Cyberpunk 2077 and things that are coming out, is that these studios are starting to actually take these games in a new direction. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and with Assassin's Creed being one of the worst offenders of what we're talking about as far as making the same game multiple times. I mean, how many times did they make an Ezio game that barely had any changes?
I mean, they kept releasing the same game for years and years and years.
Yeah, Ezio is a national treasure.
I love Ezio Auditore. Don't get me wrong. I played all those games, right? But at a certain point, I'm not going to go back to them ever again. Whereas I
Right.
will go back to classics like the first Fallout, right? I'll play that before I'll play Fallout 3 again or New Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's a total departure from the series. Some people are online complaining right now that it's barely an Assassin's Creed game. You don't see your Viking guy hiding in a mulberry bush listening to a conversation around the corner. They're not doing that. That gameplay is they departed completely from the franchise. They've made changes that are necessary to move forward.
And
Watch Dogs Legion, same thing.
we
Moving
started
on,
seeing that change, at least with Assassin's Creed, with Origins when they changed the combat system, right?
Yeah, they made it more to like an RPG and the progression systems and armor. And they've made some overall changes, but it really wasn't that different. Not like they're showing now, right? These single player games, these franchises, it looks like we're entering an era where I don't know if gamers are being heard, maybe, but it feels to me like the AAA developers aren't just going to sit pat right now. It's gotten too competitive, the stakes are too high, and it feels like they're trying to get
where they
more
need
out of their creative teams.
They need to innovate more is kind of what it is, because the market did get really stagnant with this is the same game over and over again, right? Call of Duty, they maybe add one new thing here and there, but
it's a different zombies.
Yeah. So what we're seeing now with Watch Dogs, Legion, what we talked about earlier, with kind of building your own storyline, like that's a totally new concept in the Watch Dogs universe. It's not just like here's a campaign. Instead, it's like no, you kind of make your own story out of this, you know.
Right.
And with Valhalla, it's not Assassin's Creed really anymore. They could have just taken out Assassin's Creed out of that almost and just called it Valhalla.
Called it Valhalla.
You know?
Exactly.
I'm interested to see a lot of the changes that they're going to do with Far Cry 6. You know, it seems like the innovation is happening more instead of just releasing another title of the same game. And then with Hyperscape, Hyperscape coming out, we talked about that earlier a little bit, but I feel like it's different than a lot of other battle royales.
Yeah, it's not just
still
like
a battle royale though.
It's still a battle royale.
It's not really. To me, it's not really changing the landscape. I mean, instead of building a game that's more forward and backwards, left and right, they went up and down too. I mean, but it's still pretty much the same damn thing. The innovation and stuff changing as we know it. I mean, they're like the dev game. Sorry, I can't think of the name of it. I think that was innovative. When it comes down to games being innovative, like to me, my personal favorite of Assassin's Creed was Origins, because that was the step out of the whole Ezio storyline, out of the not really the animus, but more about the character and the history. Versus, I couldn't stand the
Italian guy.
No, what was the one before Valhalla? I can't think of the name of it. Sorry.
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Yeah, I couldn't
loved
stand Odyssey. See, like with Black Flag, right? They brought in the ships. I thought it was super rad, but they beat it to a pulp. Like it was too much. Now with Odyssey, like they had all kinds of stuff because I know they wanted to keep people playing it. I understand that 100%, but it was just so big and so much to do. Is it almost became tedious?
I appreciated that.
Out
of an Assassin's Creed.
It felt a little bloated, to be honest.
It did. And that's the part right there. Like I like to get in, I like to tackle the stuff that I'm supposed to do, get it out, and possibly test another game, which is crazy because I play Destiny all the time, and I can't. That's all you can do in that game, and I don't understand it. But like with games like that, the storyline to me itself is is part of the best part of that game. Like I don't want to like. You see a bunch of to me, it's like your phone, right? You got the little red markers for notifications, right? You sit there and you're going through all of them to get those notifications. By that time, you're so far away from the storyline, and you haven't been there for 6 or 7 hours that you kind of got to go back and refresh what's going on in that storyline with them. And that's the part that it got old to me. It got super old to me because there's a couple times back, what the fuck did this dude say over here? Like, what was I supposed to do with this guy? Now with Valhalla coming out, like. In with the Vikings and everything like that, there's so much story that if they do something like that, people are going to get lost. And they were saying they're going back to some of the old game engines. Like Are they going back to Ezio Auditore game engines? Are they going back to the first Assassin's Creed game
Well,
engine where you
what I
like?
think what I mean by, like, the gameplay mechanics that they're going back to from the classics, I think they're bringing back more of, like,
The
the open
stealthy
world
side of it.
assassinations where, like,
Mhm.
you had to
You can
go
walk up and
and
stab them and walk away
well, you
type
had to
deal?
get clues, right? You had to
Yeah.
gather clues and get closer to your target and maybe eliminate a couple of guards. You can kinda pick
Mhm.
away, and you had to figure out how you wanted to get, like the very first Assassin's Creed. It was
Right.
more and Assassin's Creed 2, they were more about being an assassin and figuring out how you're gonna do the
Exactly.
assassination, and I think that this is gonna be an action RPG, just like Odyssey, just like Origins, well, not just like, but similar to those. It's gonna have the action RPG elements with the large scale assaults, but then
Right.
I think it's gonna come down to those kinds of moments as well, where you've got these story moments where you're gonna have all these options and you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna get in and assassinate,
But that
which
was
is
the
something
best
they
part
did
of the
pretty good in
Assassin's Creed.
Unity too. Even though Unity wasn't that great of a game, that
Yep.
they did that pretty well with Unity, and I appreciated that they brought that back for that game and for Syndicate a little bit. They brought that
Mhm.
back as well, and I kind of miss that from my Assassin. That's what's missing from Odyssey and Origins for me. You
Right.
don't have as much of that. You have your bird, you fly around, you want to navigate the compound, but after a certain point, you just run through and kill everybody,
It's
just
true.
like with
Exactly.
AC3. You know?
I mean, it turned into a
Mm.
hack and slash game versus because I remember sitting there as Ezio and you're like standing on top of the building, crouching, looking all the way around, like, all right, these got two guards. If I jump from here, I'm gonna alert them. I want to keep quiet, which to me, I'd rather just go in like a tank and blow everything up. But in Assassin's Creed, it made it fun to if he's in a crowd, you walk up slowly. The it goes to a grayscale, and you're the only one lit up, and you stab the guy and walk away. Like if that's what they go to, it's awesome. But how do you do that with a Viking?
No, I
You
mean,
know?
it would just be I think it's gotta be story moments, more like Unity. I like Unity because
Yep.
Unity had a lot of action elements, but there would be story elements where it's time to kill this French guy. Well, how do you do
Right.
it? It's a crowded street, and it was alive. France came alive in that game, and then you would have to, like, sneak through
Mhm.
and find a way. You could go this way, or you could bribe this person to create a distraction for you. You could come up with different ways to get in and assassinate, and
And
hopefully they work that in.
where I think like Odyssey failed in that was like there were parts where it's like, okay, find the clues, and it's just a building where there's like 6 clues, and it's like, okay, like that wasn't fun.
That
Right.
that wasn't
You
fun.
know?
So that's gonna be like, back onto the topic at hand here about games changing moving forward. Ubisoft, instead of just giving us Odyssey 2, right? Or doing Odyssey, but doing it in like a different time. Like maybe they would do it for Alexander the Great now instead
Hmm.
of,
I still want to
Right.
see
following
a
the storyline.
Japan
Like
Assassin's Creed.
yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, but see, that's the thing that's what would have happened in the past. But now moving forward, it's like, you know what? We're gonna do Vikings, but we're gonna do Vikings right, and we're gonna make it visceral and brutal and
Yeah.
crazy,
Right.
and we're gonna have
But
survival. Like they're making the game based on its own merits and its own innovation, rather than with their wallets. Like, okay, we sold Odyssey, so let's make it again.
right,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
with different people. And to
Right.
me, like that's that whole innovation. Like, yeah, I personally feel like a lot of stuff, and we had this conversation last night. Like a lot of stuff is people are sitting on that format of, hey, it worked. Let's just
It
do it
worked.
again. Just
Right.
remap it. Right, it worked. We sold a few copies. Hey, let's do it again, and let's just make it Vikings. Put up some blonde hair in a dude and some more paint, and it's cool. People like Vikings. Instead of keeping what made that storyline lively, what made people happy to play that game, which was the
Mhm.
assassinations, which was the finding this, like following the story, like of the
Hmm.
two different storylines with the apple and the animas and everything like that. Instead, like, because I don't know if you guys noticed in the last two games, even Origins, they were backing away from the storyline in the animus. It wasn't as in depth as it was with
Oh yeah,
Ezio
dude, they backed away
or
completely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that's to me, that to me is still leaving the heart or taking the heart and leaving a shell. Um, with
Good metaphor.
with the whole um how do I want to say it? Like it divulges everything that made Assassin's Creed. Like it takes away everything that made AC, that made it happy. Like Black Flag was still really good at it, even though they beat a dead horse with the ships. The storyline of Blackbeard and Redbeard and all that was still rad.
That was so cool, and
Origins,
the stuff that happened, like, with the apple, and the more you learned about the precursor
exactly,
civilization and all that stuff was really dope. I mean,
right?
yeah, so, like, hopefully they get back to that because, like I said, we haven't seen it, which is to make it a little bit of a case for sometimes sticking with a good thing works for a little while as part of this discussion. I think it's something that Raccoon might have said if she was here, is, like, maybe we could it's not always a bad thing, like, for example, with the Mass Effect games, they kinda stuck to the model and what worked, but they made little innovative tweaks here and there. Mass Effect 2,
Mhm.
okay, we made a couple of too many tweaks. Mass Effect 3, let's see if we can come back a little bit more toward Mass Effect 1, things like that. And I think that a lot of studios have been smart with that in time. It's not like
Right.
every studio has been guilty of just giving us the same recycled stuff over and over. And you don't want to criticize too much for Red Dead Redemption 2 being just like Red Dead Redemption 1. In matter of fact, in many ways, the stories intersect even because of how good it was and the stories that are there. I don't know if I would criticize that too much, but at the same token, we could definitely tell like what
Right.
have we been doing like as people that have been looking at games and playing games and content creators for years now. It's been we're just going to talk about the latest iteration of the game from Ubisoft. It's going to be the same shit that we've had
Exactly.
for
And
years, and that
I'm
feels like we're
excited
pulling
to
away from
see,
that.
and I'm excited to see a lot of the games coming out are adding in like these new worlds, these new ideas into gameplay, where it's not just the same old recycled RPG
Mhm.
elements that I've seen for the last 10 years. You know,
Final Fantasy VII Remake was a perfect example of that,
it was.
Yeah,
They did so
right.
much innovation with the combat system into it. Like it was a hybrid of the original system that we all played to what was in 15. And I thought they did a great job at mixing that. Like it was a stellar job. But it's little innovations like that that we need in games more often because if we keep having those innovations and those are working and people keep and companies keep pushing that, we're going to eventually get into a game that's great. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember when they built PUBG, right? PUBG was built on Gary's mod from an idea a guy wanted to have an all-out battle royale. Then PUBG got made. Then Call of Duty did it, and then you see all these clones coming out into
Fortnite and all
which,
that. Yep.
yeah, Hyperscape. I got on there and played it. It's really cool. It's innovative for a battle royale, but it's still the feel of a battle royale.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
want to see lots of differing stuff, and that's one thing that I can speak to. There's two ends of the spectrum, and Clink and I were kind of discussing this a little bit beforehand too, with the iterative game design of game developers over the last little bit. Some studios like Frontier, and then of course with what's going on with Star Citizen, there's been a couple of different approaches to the iterative game design. But the way that Frontier Development has done it, I'll give you their model, and I think this is something that games are going to start to copy because Elite Dangerous is about to be the hot button game on the market for
With
what's about
Odyssey
to release
coming out
with
soon. Yeah.
Odyssey. Yeah, with that coming out, and their idea has been, well, okay, our game is something we cannot make in with the technology that we have. They did Kickstarter, they're independent, they publish their own stuff, all that stuff, right? So they couldn't do the game that they wanted to make it launch. So what they did is they focused on the combat flight simulator mechanics, and they focused on the procedural generation and getting that dialed in, and everything else is puddle deep, right? So a lot of us have been super excited about the combat mechanics because there's huge payoff. Learning how to do combat in that game feels amazing. It's one of my favorite games of all time because the payoff is real, right? The reward is I'm an ace pilot and this feels great, even though it took me a long time to learn how to get this good. And you have to learn all the different ships in the building. It's a whole thing. But what I mean by iterative game design is now in the next iteration of the game, you expand, you add more and more and more of your original concept while collecting feedback from players. And you're not in an alpha state. Your game is released, it's out, it's
Mhm.
sold, you're selling units, right? So, that being the case, how then do you continue making money for development? How does that happen? Well, they went and made a Jurassic Park simulator, which is awesome. They did a fantastic job
It's
with
a
that.
very good game for a simulator.
It
Mhm.
is a very good game, right? I mean, for a park builder, I spent probably 35, 40 hours in there. It was worth its money, right?
Mhm.
Especially since they brought in the actual actor, to come back in. So that was super dope. So we had Jurassic Park voice acting, we had great graphics, we had a great game, and they've made a couple of roller coaster tycoon games. They've made some other stuff. They got some licenses on the other side to go out and make some video games and to continue bringing money into the studio. And they just expand their studio, just add a few more people to the Elite Dangerous team over here, and a few more people to the roller coaster tycoon, and just expand, right? That's been their model of doing it. Clink, would you like to talk about the Star Citizen model of doing
So
it?
Star Citizen did the Kickstarter campaign, and now they're just pulling funding from people donating to get ships, and that's it. Like it's still the same game that they had 5 years ago. Like I don't know if I've really seen that much updating actually happen. I don't know if it's ever going to be a game that truly comes out. You know, it's instead of the iterative game design of of expand on our original concept. They're trying to just put everything in of the original concept and not actually update it to today's standards of what it should be as a game.
Right.
What model is it running on? What engine?
I don't know. Not a great one. It crashes.
They
every
have
time
their
I
own
try to-
engine, I
yeah.
think.
I think it's their own engine.
Is it something easily they can update on, or is it something that's hard?
I think it's very difficult.
Because it's like Borderlands. Borderlands 1 and 2 were on the same engine, and they moved to the Unreal, the third one,
Yeah.
and it's easier for them, but it's still the same damn game.
It's the Star Citizen. Okay, so speaking of Star Citizen, this kind of gets into another subject of this whole thing, is these games that have been in development for years, are they going to be relevant in today's market? Like Star Citizen coming out with being a space flight sim. Sure, it's a space flight sim, but you know, the concept of this game is 8 years old now, and will that be relevant in today's video game world? I don't know.
When it comes down. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to move past it. Is X4 and Elite Dangerous and the others, are they expanding past already what Star Citizen was trying to do?
I feel like stuff like Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, and stuff like that, like it caters definitely to a hardcore group of people that like the game and stuff like that. But with how gaming is becoming popular so much, and what games are popular, there's definitely going to be overshadowed by the big battle royales, the big multiplayers and stuff like that. We've had this conversation multiple times that multiplayer games themselves are what's making money, selling people online. That you can play it, grind over and over and over again. I mean, you can look at some of the top content creators. Glad plays Destiny, right? But when he switches over to Final Fantasy VII being a single player game, he loses half his viewers. And he can't keep playing that game. You look at anybody playing those games, can't keep playing it. If you look at Elite Dangerous, the directory for it, I mean, what's the most it's got in there at most? I'd say 1,000, 3,000 people.
Well, that's right now, because it's been a long time since they've
But at
had
the same point in
a big
time,
update.
that 3,000 people are probably all players of the game, probably know those people that are streaming it, and probably all have interacted with it. I mean, that's that hardcore group of people. Now to come forward, how do you sell a flight?
Oh no.
Nope. Oh no.
Grenade, we lost you. So, you there?
Goodbye, have a beautiful time.
Hello?
Yeah, you're here.
You're back.
Okay,
Glitched-
okay. I
you
thought
glitched
did I
out.
lag out?
You said, how do you sell a...
How do you sell a game like that is catered mainly to a hardcore group of people? How would you sell that to, say, someone like me? All right, Pen and Clink, you guys want me to play Star Citizen, or
I don't want you to play Star Citizen, but I can sell you Elite Dangerous.
yes,
I can sell you Elite Dangerous.
Now that you can get out of the ship and walk around and explore, I would sell it to you as the only game that mixes actual science with procedural generation for space exploration.
So think of like Destiny with actually being able to fly your ship around.
Yeah,
and
so
explore
you could
the
fly
galaxy.
around. You could go to any star in the Milky Way galaxy right now. There's 420 billion stars in this game. Some are permit locked, some are out of range. You can't quite get to them. But I would say at least 419.99 billion of these stars you can actually go to right now.
Yep.
When we talk about iterative game design, what we mean is like when the first game came out, you could just go scan them. Right now, you could land on anything without an atmosphere, and with this new update with Odyssey, you're going to be able to land on things with a thin atmosphere, blue skies, and Elite Dangerous. These aren't just like little worlds like No Man's Sky where you can kind of fly around them in a couple of minutes. These are 1-to-1 ratio, just like the Milky Way galaxy. So that means if it's a 1,000 mile planetary body and you're driving at 100 miles an hour, that will take you 10 hours to drive around in real time. That's the size and scope of this game.
And there's aliens invading.
And there's aliens, but more to that, you can wing up with your friends and go on detailed bounty hunting missions where you have to coordinate, use different kinds of weapons, and fight other ships in like a dogfighting situation. And that's dope.
I'm excited to see what happens with Odyssey.
There's nothing like it out there except for games about dogfighting that have come out and other flight simulators like Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's the only thing you can compare to Elite Dangerous as far as flight simulation goes.
Like in Destiny, I wish I could fly my ship.
Yeah, me too. I wish I
to
could
me,
fly-
that's a glorified loading screen. To me,
it is in Destiny and Warframe, but in a game like Elite Dangerous where you could just pick it, it's all player execution. It's your story, how you want to tell it.
But even at that same point in time, that idea and everything sounds like cool, and like the concept sounds cool and everything like that. But I feel like isn't Elite Dangerous the same game that the guy got stuck out like 50 million light years out of nowhere and because someone had to bring him fucking gas?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that shows how untoxic the gaming community is because there's an actual community of gamers and they have a dispatch thing on Discord and everything where if you run out of fuel, they'll send a fuel rat to come get you. And that's like the most selfless thing I've ever heard about in gaming because some of those trips can take days.
Right? It is selfless, and that's
Hmm.
rad. That's actually rad that somebody did that, but
Yeah, people
tell me
do that.
again,
Yeah,
why am
that's
I
like
gonna wanna manage to me, I
if I
understand that
just
the whole
needed a
game.
fuel scoop. That's all. He would have been
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'd be the dude sitting in the back waiting to go get into a ground fight. Um,
That's coming. That's
bring
That
coming.
is happening.
bringing that up, wasn't there a game, and I think it was Eve. It was Eve Online, wasn't it?
They tried to
Um,
add another game,
to
Valkyrie,
where
for
Valkyrie, where
dogfighting,
you could
and then
actually
a
Yeah.
ground
have the
forcing one as
ships
well.
and you could drop them, right? And
It
there'd be
didn't
a whole
implement
battle going
well.
on. What the hell ever happened to that? Because bringing stuff into
They canceled it.
that right there is awesome. That is such a super rad idea.
Didn't work.
It didn't work though because these fights in Eve Online only happen at certain times. Like you can't just jump into a ground fight. It doesn't work that
Mm.
way. Like it has to be a planned battle in Eve, which
Yeah.
can take days or weeks. It just didn't implement well because it was a separate game entirely. Now, if it was part of the same game, maybe. If
Right.
it was built into
Yeah.
Eve, that would have probably worked.
Probably recorded, but people didn't even know it was connected to Eve.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
But bringing it back to the subject of games changing, I feel like a lot of the games coming out are more of build your own story inside of this universe
Right.
that we put forward
That's
towards you.
that's kind of the point, right? We were talking about like with Elite Dangerous, how it's executive action on your part, right? Where you get to choose what you do, where you go, and what you happen, and then the iterative game design of we're going to make adjustments based on feedback from the community as we develop after we release the game, rather than just like putting out an alpha, seeing what sticks, pulling it back in, doing all these different versions or whatever. And I
And
think that's more the future of gaming, and I think more people are looking to that.
I'm interested, like with Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, like that. Sure, it's probably gonna have an overarching storyline, but a lot of it's also gonna be build your own relations with
Yeah,
people
the way
in the
they're-
world.
The way they're pushing that game, if that game sells half as good as what I think it's going to be, that'll be the new genre of game, and you'll probably see multiplayer come out of that type of game too.
Yeah, you're gonna see everybody, looked at that, but clinks onto something there with like it's gonna be more and more of that and less of as even with Red Dead Redemption, you go at the story at your own pace. Even the games that, are story based now, a lot of them are giving you the
And
the
so-
controls basically.
So that's
to
talking
experience
about games that have come out, but like how are games changing? It's all these. I think the big thing is this storyline thing where it's like, yeah, we'll put you in this world, this universe, and you have at it as you please.
fair.
Like with Watch Dogs, I'm sure there's an overarching story, but it really is about the character relationships you have in the game and how you feel
true.
about those characters. And I feel like the same thing is going to happen with Valhalla or Far Cry, where it's like, yeah, sure, you have this storyline of invading England as a Viking, but you're actually, I'm sure you can partner up with one of the English people, and it's more about the storyline of your characters that you're building.
Kind of blend of like
Yeah.
just the MMO where you're doing your own thing all the time, and the single player game where you're led on a path. Maybe that's coming together.
And I find that really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool. So what about the single player focus of these big AAA titles coming out now instead of the multiplayer kind of live service format?
It's
'Cause
because of FOMO.
I
I think
have-
it's honestly because of that. I think it's because a lot of people it does developers don't like it either from the comments that you're seeing, that you're reading about online. Like it's creating a grind of these workplaces to pump out new content, pump out new content,
Mhm.
pump out new content, and then the players get it and they consume it faster and faster. And it's been this spiral, right? Where they're putting out more and more and more that you have to play right now on these games as a service. So a lot of us are just like, fuck it, what's out right now? Oh, look, Red Dead Redemption 2. And you go, or Borderlands 3. And so I think that's been what's been happening. So the big AAA developers they've caught on and they're now revamping these franchises because the games as a service aren't going away, but people take breaks.
Yep.
They take breaks. And what are they going to do in those breaks? Well, they're going to buy Valhalla.
Because for
and
a
they're going to
while
play that.
there, it was all games as a service kind of format coming out, like
Basically, yeah.
the Warcraft model, and I don't think that model even works anymore in today's marketplace of we're just gonna have the same game over and over again. Instead, it's these new innovative concepts coming forward. So, yeah, I'm excited to see
I don't
where
remember.
games go.
In Last of Us 2, there's a like with that single player storyline going on, I would say so far it's been more immersive than the first game, but the storytelling's a little off.
Hmm.
But there's added stuff in the game that you can do that just makes you feel like you feel that anger, you feel that sadness that Ellie's going through. Like if people stick to that
The
for
connection to your character.
they
Mhm.
give you that connection. I feel like story players will dominate because, dude,
Yeah,
there's
move
times
forward.
where, like, even when, like, you can sometimes Ellie's like talking to herself as you're trying to like wiggle your way around the zombies and stuff like that. And when she starts punching people's faces in or the zombies' faces in, you see her face and it's just so full of anger. Like, and you're just like, holy crap! Like this person's on a rampage.
Mhm.
If the single players can kind of get you to feel what that person's feeling in that game, besides something that's, hey, you're playing behind this guy and you're shooting a bunch of shit or you're slashing a bunch of shit.
Yeah, they get you way more immersed, and part of that touches on another topic about coming up with games in the future that I'm passionate about. I know Link is too. With that's mocap, right? With her,
Yeah.
that's mocap. That's mocap on the anger. You guys look at that Far Cry 6 trailer and the mocap job they did on Giancarlo Esposito. It is him. It's
It's
Gus
Yeah,
so
fucking
it looks
crazy.
Fring.
it
You
looks
know,
fucking great.
it's the things he does with his hands, the way he lifts
Mm.
up his chin and looks down at people, the way the
Even the
actor's
way
little
he
ticks. They
walks,
captured
it's like,
him.
yeah,
They
it's
captured
insane.
him.
And that just goes to show the new technology that's coming out. We
Mhm.
can get more involved with our characters. We can feel what they're feeling, and that
Yeah.
emotion comes across now in these games that we see.
A lot little better. I remember the first time I really caught note of this was the Tomb Raider remake by Crystal Dynamics.
Hmm.
I was playing the very beginning of the game, and I'm leading Laura Croft around a corner, and she reaches out and touches the stone wall to move around it. And of course, all of this was mocapped in the studio the way they did Avatar for James Cameron, where
Hmm.
she actually did this whole scene in a warehouse where she had to act moving around this corner and she was told what to do. Of course, it's all green screened and all that stuff, but the actress physically had to go and do all these motions, and that's the storytelling in video games that's getting us immersed and drawing us in because those little tiny ticks and things like that, they just suck you right in, man.
Yep.
And that's the future of gaming. That's the future of single player. And you can't. That's the reason. I think that's one of the other reasons to answer the question from before that single player games are making this comeback is because you can't do that as much per se in a game where the focus is it's a battle royale, so it's PvP, or the focus is on grinding out monsters for an MMO. Like certain game formats don't work for that. You have to have the single player experience.
Totally. So I'm
You
excited
know,
to see where these grenades go, where these games go.
I can tell you where the grenades go.
There's a grenade in the trailer, and you haven't seen a grenade. I'm disappointed. I was going to ask you what you thought of that grenade, like just to critique the
I
grenade
haven't,
that
I
was in
haven't,
this trailer.
I haven't seen it yet.
You're gonna
I'm
have
probably
to
gonna watch
see
it
it
after
because
this.
the grenade
But
is a
I
key
saw
element to that.
the cover artwork and I thought it was pretty cool because you could tell they pulled it right out of the
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
Um, but with that going on, we had the same conversation last night. All these games that are AAA games right now, the Call of Duties, the Destinies, the Valorants at that time too. I mean, Valorant's still kind of new, but with all these multiplayer games coming out, they're kind of like hitting their peak, and there is going to be that drop off. And if they start releasing now or in the next year with all these big games coming out, it's definitely going to do way better because, like you said earlier, people are going to want to take breaks. They're going to want to sit there and
Right.
not have to sweat something up because I don't care what you do, even if like skill based matchmaking is on or off. At some point in time, you're going to be sweating the game out, and people just don't want to do that. Like,
Dude, you gotta
um,
take a break, man. Like I'm from DBD. Sometimes you just gotta take a step back, man.
Yep.
Like
It's it's like I was so hard into Destiny and Destiny 1, and then I discovered a PlayStation and Horizon and Persona 5, like, those 2 I didn't touch any other game but those 2 until I beat them, and it's because they were single player games, and you could get totally immersed in those people's
yep.
lives. which made that awesome. So right now would probably be the best time to start releasing single player games with in-depth storylines and push that forward. Because if they could do a good job right now, it's going to open up the door, back up the door for single player games. Bring in a new Zelda, bring in a new Mario, bring in all these old games with new storylines and slap a new flavor on it. And they're going to sell like hotcakes because people are getting tired of the sweat
Yep.
factory.
That FOMO, man, the FOMO and the sweat combined, like, man, my goodness, I get so stressed out thinking about all the things that I've missed in Destiny because I wasn't playing during each and every time they did a new battle pass.
I've literally been telling people who are coming into the game, save your shit, don't use your shit, and just get the weapons so you can move into the next one. I mean, the FOMO's still there, the storyline's still there, but it's not something you can't go pick up on a bike. Whereas like, I remember when I was younger, I'd go see a movie, right? I'd be like, oh my God, this movie's so cool. Like this happened and this shit blew up at the end and everything like that. I was excited to talk about it, right? The other day, Clink jumped into my party. It was actually last night, sorry. He jumped into, I see a message, Clink. He jumped in and I was like, Clink, did you see what was going on in Last of Us 2? He's like, no, man, I'm not even there. I was like, fuck, man, I wanted to talk to you about it. Like,
That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be.
exactly. You want to be talking about that.
That's where you want to be. You want to be talking about that.
So I'm excited to see what happens with all the games coming out and where gaming is moving into, where it's this more story driven, you feel the emotions of your character and what that means for storytellers and these game developers. So I'm excited to see the future of video games.
I'm too, Clink.
Yep.
All right, guys. We're gonna start pushing into the Q&A. We're gonna kind of go over some topics, talk about it, and as you guys go through and let us know what's going on, ask your questions. Give you about 10 minutes.
Yep.
And feel free to ask us anything. It doesn't have to be about tonight's episode, which we prefer, but it can be about anything. So,
yep.
There you go.
And while we're waiting, go for it, Penn.
Yeah, I'll go for a plug here on our YouTube channel, actually. You guys could use that comment section to go ahead and ask questions, too, if you guys are watching this on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
We do check that. Like, believe me, like, I'm, like, looking. I'm waiting. I got my fingers ready, man. Like, come at me with some stuff. Fight me, bro. Or love me. Whatever. Right. It's all good. Like, put it in the comments, man, on YouTube.
So while we're waiting for your guys'... Yeah, well, we do have a feedback form. It's down below, down there. While we're waiting for your guys' questions, let's kind of go over what we're doing this week. Tomorrow, I don't think we're going to do Light Level Tuesday tomorrow is what we were talking about, right? We're going to try something different? Or
are we going to do Elite Dangerous tomorrow?
I don't know. We're gonna do something tomorrow.
I'm kidding. Elite Dangerous all day, every day.
Were we going to do something different tomorrow? I thought we were still going to stick to it.
We can do Destiny. I'm cool with that.
No, it doesn't matter. Oh, no, we were looking for a game we could all play together and it wasn't Tuesday. Actually, it wasn't Tuesday because Tuesday's my day on my channel.
Yep.
Thursday, where none of us have played it and we're trying to figure shit out together.
Yep. So that'll be for Thursday. So I guess Light Level Tuesday tomorrow with me and Grenade. Wednesday, hoping Penn takes over this week again for Community Spotlight Wednesday, where one of our viewers gets highlighted and Penn plays a game with them. For Thursday, Tetrad Thursday, like Grenade was saying, we're going to try to take a new game, learn the mechanics of it, and dive right in. And that will hopefully be all four of us. Raccoon, we miss you. That'll be all four of us, most likely, playing a game together. Friday is Gentleman's Friday, or Gentlewoman's, with Hand Grenade. And Grenade, what do you got going on this week there?
This week, it was kind of a long week. How I originally planned it out, Choney didn't come to fruition with some stuff, plus Kev, Rock, all of them guys had something going on. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go back into the same element that I did for my first one. I'm going to have Wolverine Guy Kev, Rock and Cat, and Choney in there. Chonezone _84 if anybody wants to go check them out. We are going to do another situation that Tony comes up with and see who wins. Maybe we can get some more people in there too. Awesome.
So join Grenade on Friday for that here on Tetrad. Saturday, it's either going to be me or Raccoon. Raccoon, if she's on, we'll do Game Night Saturday. Otherwise, it'll be me doing MMO Saturday. It'll be one or the other. So I'm going to jump into an MMO and get real sweaty on that. Either doing raids or just grinding levels or something. And then Sunday, for now, we're going to try to put in our rerun, but life sometimes gets in the way. So join us for Rerun Sunday, where we're going to replay this episode and try to answer questions at the end. Wow, chat, you are so quiet tonight. Look at that, no questions. Well, anyone? Bueller? Well, if there's no questions or anything from you guys,
clear eyes.
Thank you everybody for joining us.
With the raid, I was looking because we're going to play Valorant this week. That's what we were doing, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yep.
Valorant on Thursday.
Yeah, I was looking through and I couldn't find anybody interesting on Valorant. I was literally scrolling through the last half hour. If you guys have any ideas on the raid, I would like to see if we could raid Anna Bray's Tiggle Bitties. Super red dude, super nice, super happy.
Sure.
Super happy.
I'm okay with that.
I know a guy with one viewer playing Valorant right now called The Playwright. I have no idea if he's any good.
Is he interesting?
I followed him for some reason.
I like Anna Bray. Let's do Anna Bray.
Okay, we can do that.
So we're gonna raid Anna Bray's Tiggle Bitties. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for joining us for tonight's discussion on our games changing as we know it. Make sure you join us next week for episode 8. We're calling it For Nostalgia's Sake, going over everything that we really enjoyed as kids and what we feel about that now. Does it hold up? It's for nostalgia's sake, baby. So join us next Monday at 8 p.m. for episode 8 of Tetrad TV. And we will see you all next week and throughout the week here on the channel. Have a great night, everybody. Say hi to Anna Bray's Tiggle Bitties. Bye-bye.
So